That's James's meal for today, and this is supposed to be that. Anyway, I'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to be reviewing The King of Kings, a story told by Charles Dickens, and count me in. James is going to talk about that a little bit. And this is what the little things end up looking like, and they have kind of a texture of a warm sponge sort of thing when they're done. But I didn't make both of them this way. So anyway, so what I did, I tried to follow the instructions, and wet my hands thoroughly did not work out well. Oiling my hands worked out okay, but then finally you can see I decided, that's it, I'm not going to form these, I'm just going to dump them off the spoon. Like just, you can use 2 spoons and kind of dump them off into the oil. And you'll notice I'm not having any because the ingredients here, they're there. There's onion in them and asafoetida, which I love, but it doesn't necessarily love me lately, so I can't risk it with the headaches. I don't want the headaches. So how are you finding that?
It's good enough.
Good, okay.
Kind of like a dumpling.
Yeah. So I brought this other box out today, although I didn't make this today, because I wanted to say, well, this ravadosa thing, it says it's a crepe, but really it's more like a wheat tortilla, a soft tortilla. So, and this, I don't know how to describe it really. It's more like I was going to say like a dumpling or a fritter, a cross between a dumpling and a fritter.
So you were thinking dumpling too,
yeah. But anyway, so the one that James is eating right now is made pretty much as it's supposed to be made. I followed the directions, and after I fried them, then I put them in the water and left them in there for a while. I didn't leave them in there for 15 minutes because with the first ones I tried that way, they were already starting to come apart. And so I was like, oh man, that doesn't work. So I'll have to try this again, I suppose, if James likes them. Now, it does say to whisk yogurt until smooth. Pour half in the dish, and then, like you can see, there's lots of yogurt in there, and then you put the dumplings on top of the smooth yogurt, and then you pour some more smooth yogurt on top of it, and then you put chaat masala on top. Well, I didn't have any chaat masala, and frankly I'm just learning how to make these, so I didn't want to really waste anything anyway. And next time I make them though, since it's really not that hard, I just have to work on how to fry them in a way that I can actually let them sit in the water for long enough. Then I won't be able to use, like you can see here that I have this Greek yogurt, no sugar added Greek yogurt. That's what I used. So I wouldn't be able to use that for this unless I added some water or milk or something and whisked it down until smooth. So then I could make it look like this. And next time I think I could do it pretty easily. But I did one in the middle there that is just fried without soaking it in the water bath. So you can try that, and maybe you like that as much as or more, and then I don't even have to worry about the other stuff. But
now this stuff is like the cream that you put on there.
Yogurt. Yeah.
So, but that doesn't come in the mix, right?
No. No, you buy the yogurt. And you buy chaat masala, and it's not expensive. Or you can make it yourself. Oh.
So I was going to say the consistency is somewhat like a dumpling. Now you've made dumplings for me every so occasionally.
I don't know.
I think I can recall. Yours tend to be like my mom's. No, my mom's.
I love dumplings.
Were awesome.
For stew.
So these aren't as good as my mom's dumplings.
Yeah.
Or yours.
Yeah.
But pretty sure you made them, and they seem to be similar.
Okay. So, in any case, that's that's that. And we just got this. We got this mix for free. We got this other mix for free from the food truck. So thought I'd try it out. But this isn't something that I like. It says snacks on the side, and yeah, I'd say because there's. I mean, you're frying. I don't really. I try to avoid doing things like that, feeding James things like that. So you can see with the peppers, I grilled them, so you can pull the skin right off if that's how you like it when you grill the peppers. And another thing, like if the skin is reluctant to come, then you could always stick it in, like once you're done baking them or grilling them or whatever, you can stick the peppers in a paper bag and close it up, and then they steam. I've heard some people do it in plastic bags, but I don't like putting hot things in plastic. It just seems wrong.
Very bad idea,
yeah.
folks.
So anyway, and plus I didn't think James would really care about the skin,
Well,
because
I mean, I've eaten skins
yeah.
of peppers many times.
So I didn't think he'd care. Anyway.
Besides,
then,
that reminds me of flaying, which is what the ancient Assyrians used to do to their...
Yeah, well, that's a lot of people used to do things like that, and that's terrible. But power bowls, cauliflower curry. This made both of these peppers, and it didn't fill them up quite full enough. One power bowl for two of these Poblano peppers. And then I just put tikka masala on his potato. I put yogurt on mine. I put tikka masala on my spaghetti squash, and that was that. And so that's our meal for today. It's pretty fancy meal, I think. I mean, when you stuff something like a spaghetti squash or a poblano pepper or a bell pepper or any pepper that you want to stuff, I suppose, it automatically just seems fancy, doesn't it? The meal, I don't know, it does to me anyway. So, I'm going to talk about the King of Kings, and then I'm going to leave it to James to talk about Count Me In a bit, because I only left him 5 minutes at the end of the show last time. So, King of Kings. Now, I am not a believer in people teaching religion to their children. I don't think that children should be exposed to that, but people are going to do it, and what do you do, right? You can't tell people how to raise their children, what to raise them on or not, and I don't think that's right either. So it's just not something I would do. If I had a child, I wouldn't want to expose them to religion as much as possible until they're an adult, or if they asked about it, then I could tell them something about it. But that's just me. So this whole Angel whatever studios, I don't know what they're, I don't know about this. It has the voice of Kenneth Branagh, Uma Thurman, Mark Hamill, Pierce Brosnan, Roman Griffin Davis, which I don't know who that is, Forrest Whitaker, Ben Kingsley, and Oscar Isaac. I don't know who that is either. So but what I'm saying is there are a lot of big names who were willing to tell this story. And they say it's the greatest story ever told, that it's about a father telling his story, the greatest story ever told, to his son. And his son is really interested in King Arthur. Everything's, knights at the round table, dragons and swords, and kid loves King Arthur. Doesn't want any other stories but about King. So the father tells his son, well, this is about, the greatest king ever, this story, and do you want to hear it, kind of thing. The kid's interested, and that's that. So the animation's good and everything. I don't like the fact that it's funny how we're raised on, we expect villain voices to sound a certain way or whatever, and so they have villain sounding voices for the what do they call it? Pharisees. And yep. And so I don't think that's really very nice to have that, but whatever. And so that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but I like the story. It's just, I don't know that it's really appropriate for children. It's one that they had to, I remember my dad telling me all about the stuff when I was little, and he was concerned. He didn't really want to tell me the Old Testament stuff, for example, and those were the stories I liked. But he didn't want to tell me them because those are pretty violent, a lot of them. And it's good to know that the Old Testament is. Are you going to answer?
It's Jewish scripture.
Exactly. So you got to know where it's coming from. And so when they're telling this story and having villainy voices for the Pharisees, well, is that really appropriate? Anyway, so.
Well.
And.
They were villains.
Sure, okay, but.
At least the ones who were the leaders.
Yeah.
It's
But,
kind of simplified things because the Sadducees, which were a rival sect, were gung-ho, from what I gather, for killing Jesus. Scribes, the elders, the priests and stuff like that seemed to be gung-ho for killing him. From what I gather, it was pretty well all the leadership of the Jewish religion.
okay. So, anyway, James obviously feels differently about that than I do. That he thinks that having villain voices, whatever. But I don't think there should be villain voices. I think it's just, like we've been watching Get Smart lately. At first in the Get Smart, the old Get Smart series with Don Adams. At first they were, chaos was Russians. And then it was,
very obviously Nazi.
then there was Dr. Craw, not Craw, right?
Oh, that's
so
right, yeah.
Chinese. And then there, very obviously, Germans, so Nazi sort of people, right? And it's funny how the villains, they can't be anything like you or whatever. They have to be, they're bad guys, And when I was little, I was asking, well, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, and whatever. When Dad would tell me stories, and I could tell he was uncomfortable with that too, right? Like I was asking about Pontius Pilate. Oh, well, Pontius Pilate was a bad guy, right? And my dad was, he was uncomfortable. He didn't want to talk like that about with me. So anyway, what really bothered me in this story, aside from that, aside from the the distinction between villains versus not or whatever, they would be speaking the same way because Jesus was Jewish, so why would the Pharisees have a different voice than, like villainy sounding voice? Anyway, so, but besides that, they talked about Jesus having, when Jesus was about to be put on the cross and everything, they were talking about, he's telling his followers not to pay taxes to the Romans. What? He never said that. I think everyone who made this needs to actually go back and read the Bible, because that's a lie.
Well, where they might have been sticking to Dickens.
And if so, then Dickens was lying. So, because, sure, you can say, yeah, people were saying he was king of the Jews. Okay, and so that's brought up, and then, but Pontius Pilate was talking to Jesus, and Jesus said, something like, my kingdom is not of this world.
Of this third world.
Yeah. So Pontius Pilate was like, oh, okay, well, whatever. It doesn't matter then. It's not in conflict with Caesar ruling. So he didn't care. So to say, you can say, oh, Pontius Pilate was a good guy, a bad guy, indifferent, didn't care. He didn't care. Jesus was not going to get in the way of rulership by Caesar. And in this, they were saying the whole thing about the taxes. It's like, no. If you actually read the Bible, then Jesus says, pay unto Caesar what is Caesar's. He's telling his people, yeah, pay your taxes, whatever. But you could say that if you wanted to really stretch things, you could say that he's telling his followers not to pay taxes, because when he says, give all of your money to the poor and follow me, because I mean, if you have nothing, well, what are you going to pay? But anyway, that bothered me. He never said don't pay your taxes.
Why you said the opposite?
He said the opposite.
He said the opposite.
So anyway, but maybe James will want to talk about this a little more. I don't know. I mean, you hear so many things.
Thing on which it is based.
I know, it makes you want to now, hey?
I'm
And
not
it's
a big
like, oh my
fan of
gosh, I
Dickens.
have so many things I want to read, and now I have to read this too. So anyway, like you hear all sorts of things that about stories that have been around a long time. I mean, it's funny, like watching movies that I watched when I was a teenager, and I used to memorize lines. I used to go through the movie, and I knew every line in the movie. I'd just sit there and, I don't know, I'd watch the movie again and again, and I'd learn them. So, but watching movies now, that I remember lines that have been cut out. And now they're on the Criterion collection or whatever, and it's like, how did this get changed since I watched it, and why? And or movies, when you watch a movie and then you watch it. I've watched a movie on TV, Videodrome. I watched on TV, and they changed the whole plot of the movie. They cut so much out of it.
This is not a remake. This
was just a made-for-TV release of Videodrome. That I guess whatever station released that was bothered enough by it. It's like, well, why did you even put it on if you're going to change the whole story? But changing the Bible, some people should have a problem with it, especially people that call themselves the angel whatever organization. Changing the Bible, changing Jesus' words, and that's anyway. Anyway, whatever.
They didn't say Jesus wants you to be rich, though, did they?
No. That's
There's
at least
some
they didn't
amazing,
believe in the
scummy
prosperity principle.
Yeah,
So,
possible,
but, yeah, that's one thing at least. And with the whole, like, put up your sword, he didn't say, in this, like, they changed the language a little bit so that kids would understand it, right? So he said, that's enough.
Okay.
You know, but whatever.
Well,
I don't think he actually cut off the guy's ear in this, because that's a bit much for kids too.
I suppose, but it really happened in the Bible.
According to the Bible, it's there, so whatever. And another thing, like we were listening to Cat Stevens' documentary with Cat Stevens in it. I can't remember what it was.
Called?
Yeah, but it was part of the extras of the documentary that, or was it a concert with the extras? And there were there was a lot of extras. It was awesome.
Concert
that way. If you like Cat Stevens, which whatever, not totally my cup of tea or anything like that. It's not very smart. And so, actually, I preferred listening to the documentary part, the extras part, because I liked listening to him talking about different things. Like he said that Jesus called out to God, and he used the name Allah. Not the case. That's a total lie. God. But I expect that Cat Stevens just has no clue, because I think he's really stupid. So, no, he didn't call out to Allah. Would you like to talk about that?
He calls Eli, well, we say Eli, or something like that, Eli. Sabachthani, or something like that. Sabachthani is, and it's a question. It means forsaken me. Eli just means, Eli, means my God, my God.
Yeah.
It's short for Elohim. It's like L and then an I on the end, which means my.
No, that's so good.
God, my, God, my.
So
Cat Stevens is I call him Rat Stevens and stuff like that. He was much more, shall we say, diplomatic than he has been in the past. I'll have to run down the exact quote.
yeah, Cat Stevens was presenting it as though, oh, well, this is proof that Allah is God because Jesus called out to him and he used that name. And I was like, no, he did not. Maybe maybe a lot of Muslim people believe that. I'm not sure, but
I don't think it really concerned them very much. I think the general idea in Islam is Jesus wasn't crucified or killed that way.
Weird. So that's so strange that Cat Stevens even said that.
Yeah, well, a lot of Muslims really don't know what is in the Quran. It's similar to the way it was with Catholics, I think, in my lifetime. I don't know when it was changed, 62 or something like that. I've been right. Where they allowed the Catholic Bible, which is not the original, folks. The Old Testament, as it's called by Christians, is written in Hebrew, and the New Testament in Hellenistic Greek, it's called, or we call it biblical Greek. But the official Latin translation is in Latin, and it's an old-fashioned Latin thing. I think it dates from
And so, whereas James has
AD.
read this stuff, I actually haven't, because I only know English. I can only read in English, so. But, I mean, it's better than watching King of Kings. Reading the Bible in English to try to get the story. Yeah.
Oh, you put it over there.
I did. But you can have it.
You know, when I was a kid, Jesus' hair was longer than this.
Yeah, and his beard's all trimmed short and stuff. I didn't notice that.
That's ridiculous. Like it's, it's been shaved down here and all this sort of stuff. Okay, just because the hippies dress like Jesus and stuff like that, and Christians didn't like hippies very much, and hippies like Christians very much. They probably just didn't care that much. But now,
Christian.
He's portrayed as being a little bit darker than he was when I was a kid. He almost had blondish hair and stuff like that when I was a kid. Maybe blue eyes. I think he's got brown eyes here. It's kind of hard to tell, but and maybe his nose is a bit bigger. He was portrayed when I was a kid, but it's hilarious looking at modern day. I mean, I've got one thing put up by the Jehovah's Witness, and good grief, it looks as though he's selling real estate or something like that. His hair is so relatively short. I think they've got him with a beard, but again, trim. You could almost be a cop or something like that. The beard is trimmed that much. So, yeah, just
Yep.
How much time? 5 minutes?
Oh man, I did it to you again. Yeah, 5 minutes to talk about. Count me in.
I don't think I'll start talking about them. Let's just rap more about Jesus. Or whatever.
Yep. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, Brad Stevens is the kind of guy who said, this is in the wake of 1989, February the 14th is that Valentine's Day. Ayatollah Khomeini was still kind of alive then, put out a contract, they call it a fatwa. We'll call that particular contract a fatwa. Fatwa can include things that aren't contract. But a contract on Salman Rushdie's life. I think it was $1 million, multi-million-dollar reward for killing him. And Rat Stevens said, this is recorded on TV, maybe the David Frost show, think it was an English interview show, and he said something to the effect, I'll have to run it down for you, but it was recorded. It's not like people making it up or anything like that. That if they were burning him to death, he'd run and get some fuel for the fire.
Oh, and I think, wasn't his father, Cat Stevens' father, Greek Orthodox?
I think it was his mother was Swedish or something.
Mm-hmm.
No, when someone like that, the way it should be in our world, any democracy, the kids should not be allowed to have a birthright, or to be, if they're born in a place, they're automatically a citizen. That has to be taken away. We have to learn from
No, but
past
like when
experience.
Cat Stevens was saying something in that interview
Yeah.
about how his father was upset that he was that Cat Stevens had become
I would be.
Muslim.
If I had a kid and I'm
And
agnostic,
Cat Stevens
I'd
was
be
all
upset.
like, well, isn't it a free world to think what you want or whatever? And it's like, okay, but what does your new religion that you've plunked yourself into think about your Greek Orthodox father?
Exactly
You know?
right. He's called a dhimmi, and even Iran hasn't had the guts, although they believe it, in imposing dhimmitude on Christians, Jews, Zoroastrians, the very few that are left, and I guess Hindus, there's finally extended to them, the right of being a protected people. In other words, they have to pay special taxes and stuff like that. Poll taxes, taxes on goods sold, taxes on land that Muslims didn't have to pay. So, actually, the standard Muslim belief about non-Muslims was that they were so filthy they shouldn't be allowed to go out in the rain, lest the rain wash their filth off, and the filth touch a pure Muslim. The Muslims traditionally have looked down on Christians, and Jews, of course, they've looked down on even more harshly in the Quran. This might be a bad translation. I doubt if it's so bad that it doesn't render the gist. The Jews, this is the translation, it's not me saying. I'm going to say that in terms of nation, the Jews are the best of people, but the Quran says the Jews are the worst of people. I'm going to have to check and see what people is, but that is just out and out racism as far as I'm concerned, unless it says Jews are the worst Jews are members of the worst religion. That's different. Worst of people, that's absolutely shameful. So yeah, Cat Stevens, his conversion, didn't involve a lot of study or anything like that. Apparently his brother converted, I don't know if his older brother, to Islam. But, it wasn't through study. It was some sort of a near-death experience. It wasn't like seeing the light or something like that. He almost drowned.